Advancedrunk. Longtime viewers of this channel will know I'm a fan of any game that lets you run to the right and blow stuff up. Games like Contra, Metal Warriors, Metal Slug, and games that rip off Metal Slug, like CT Special Forces for Game Boy Advance. This was released in December 2003 and developed by Light and Shadow Production, a French company that usually made licensed games for stuff like Robin Hood and Inspector Gadget. But CT Special Forces comes across as a passion project made by people who love Metal Slug. It's by no means better than Metal Slug or Contra or any of its influences, but it's a good example of a game that's merely influenced by those titles, as opposed to just replicating what those games did. I should mention quickly that this title also got a PlayStation port in Europe, so you might have played this game that way. And I should also point out that CT stands for counterterrorism, not the really obnoxious guy from MTV's The Real World Paris. You get 6 lives and 0 continues with a password system to get through 4 worlds split up into 3 stages each, and the controls are pretty simple as you might expect. A jumps, B fires your weapon, the R button tosses grenades, and the L button scrolls through your weapons. Of course, all the usual firearms you've come to expect are here: machine guns, rocket launchers, flamethrowers, grenades, and the controls overall are pretty good, as long as you keep in mind that there's really only 4 buttons to work with. Some inputs like ducking seem like they should be quicker than they actually are, so there is an adjustment period here, but otherwise this game is mostly a fair challenge, and your abilities and range of motion match the level design here pretty well. The only real issue I had with the gameplay is that the camera viewpoint moves around a lot, and that can be kind of annoying if you're playing this on a smaller screen, whether that's the original Game Boy Advance or the Analog Pocket, or whatever device you may have. But if you're playing this game any way you can on a regular television display, the drifty camera is not nearly as big of an issue. Like I said, each world is divided up into 3 stages each, and some stages have you control a helicopter in a top-down vertical shoot-'em-up. Some have you parachuting out of a plane and plummeting to the earth, kind of like what you'd see in a game like Cybernator. And there's also first-person sniper stages. There's also a challenge mode that allows you to play 2-player co-op with another player using the Game Link cable, which is kinda cool. CT Special Forces reminds me of one of those over-ambitious NES games where they tried to shoehorn in a bunch of game modes into one title, you know, like Golgo 13 or Ultimate Stuntman or Adventures of Bayou Billy. You know, the type of games that don't quite work because they tried to do too much. Except CT Special Forces does work. Every game mode works well, and everything flows together cohesively, so you don't have to learn a brand new control scheme every few minutes. This game feels like what the devs of those busted NES titles were going for. And if you like CT Special Forces, you'll be happy to know it's the first game in a series. The Game Boy Advance has 2 sequels, subtitled Back in the Trenches and Navy Ops, with the Xbox getting a 4th game a few years later titled Fire for Effect. The best of the bunch, in my opinion, is the second game. It's a good deal better than the first, and by a good deal better, I mean it's a lot closer to Metal Slug. You can drive tanks and helicopters, you have a knife attack for close range, and the game structure is so much smoother. Instead of just throwing random objectives at you, the level will flow from parachuting down someplace, taking out whoever's around you, then setting up for a sniper mission. It's really well done. The third game is also good, but the second game is fantastic. So yeah, I had no idea CT Special Forces existed, the game or the series. On the surface, you'd think this looks and plays like Metal Slug, and you'd mostly be right. But these games are still a lot of fun to crank through. The second game in particular is what I'd recommend the most. It's a well-made game that runs through the mission structure seamlessly, the graphics are improved from the first game, and there's more vehicles and more stuff to do. But really, any of the 3 CT Special Forces games are worth playing today, and since they never got any kind of re-release the past 20+ years, they're games that you're gonna have to play any way you can. And that is all for now. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.